and a slam jam.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Wombo Combo Podcast. That's right, I'm breakycpk, joined as always by BSJ, and we are happy to be here on what is, well, a very special occasion. I think we could all say and agree on. It's Memorial Day here in the United States, of course, so obviously celebrating that. But you got a little ahead of yourself there. But no, the Battle Pass, of course, is what I'm really getting at. This being the Wombo Combo, after all. And super excited to be with you guys today and enjoying it with you and kind of going over what it brings. And maybe a couple of other things that happened in this last week. But BSJ, I bet you're feeling pretty good.
Dude, I'm feeling great, man. This is my second Christmas, almost my first Christmas, you know. I've got a banana for nutrition and, fitting the lore. And then I've also obviously I've given my money to Gaben already, and I'm ready to give more money to Gaben as long as I get my fancy hats and my fancy voice lines and arcanas and double down so I can lose twice as much MMR in the same amount of time during my stream. There's a lot of reasons to be excited for me right now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You can create your guild. Have you created a guild yet? I mean, that's
I have had several people bother me about joining their guild. That's what I have had happen so far. It took me like half of my pre-stream of like 2 hours to buy the actual battle pass, you know? Yeah. And then I had to obviously shamelessly throw my money at Gaben, and that took another 20 minutes. And then I've had to like one by one, unlock all of the rewards, because that's a thing. Mm-hmm. And I guess they're trying to make you appreciate all the stuff you bought or whatever, you know. So I've been doing that, and I still have to do that. So I've still got excitement to go, still got the immortal treasures to open. And dude, I don't know. I just don't spend money on very much. So yeah, I'm always just excited to spend money on things that get me excited. And obviously I spend so much time playing Dota and streaming and everything that getting all the hats, it's kind of funny because when I watch Hearthstone, I don't know if you ever watch Hearthstone, but I used to watch it a lot. I used to enjoy watching it because there were like a lot of cool decks that cost a lot of money. And I don't think that's like a good thing to have, but I enjoyed watching it as a viewer because I'm like, oh, this is something that like I get to experience uniquely because this person's willing to spend that much money. And I do think it's kind of like that for the viewers when they watch like streamers and stuff where they're just like, wow, like, you know, he has all the arcanas and the cool cosmetics and the cool effects that Valve's put in the game. You know, the difference here being that it just makes your game look cooler rather than actually making it so you can play the game. Yeah. But I think that that's kind of cool, and I like to share it with the viewers too. So I think that's been like a fun, somewhat tradition as a streamer that all streamers kind of get to go through. So I think it's really cool for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you're a great example of that. Living the streamer life for Dota 2 specifically. This really is the best time of the year, I'm sure, in a lot of ways, as you're getting at. So the content just kind of brings itself, and it's certainly going to last throughout the months to come. And that is the unique thing with this Battle Pass. We really don't know what we're looking at when it comes to the ultimate length. Of course, the prize pool still certainly going towards TI-10, as we talked about. When TI-10 is going to be, we do not know. Is it going to be at the end of this year? Is it going to be even next year, as been hinted, possibly? Valve doesn't even know. Obviously, that's all trying to be figured out. But hey, in the meantime, get our minds off of that. I know a lot of people out there, you know, whether or not you're looking to support the prize pool, obviously the Battle Pass does an amazing job at giving you content in return anyways. So you're still getting plenty, to say the least, out of it. So yeah, in today's podcast, again, not necessarily a lot happened throughout this last week, so I did figure we could go over bits and pieces of it. But I suppose before we do, let's kind of get to the competitive news out of the way. I know we'll keep you guys on a string a little bit longer here. There were some matches that took place, obviously into this last weekend. The OGA Dota Pit event that took place, and we were talking about that top three and how it was shaping up and everything. Liquid and OG going at it in the lower finals, and Liquid, sure enough, actually defeated OG to get to the grand finals, and then taking out Team Secret. Or, excuse me, they did not take out Team Secret. They had to match up against Team Secret. That would have been something. It was actually the opposite, though. Secret did win that series in the end, where you're grand final champions. Feels like I'm saying once again, because I am saying once again, Team Secret, the most dominant team right now, it really feels like. So
they've won 46 out of excuse me, they've won 46 out of 50 games. I saw that stat on Reddit. That's pretty insane. Like in competitive Dota, even if you're taking every single series, if you're dropping one game every other series, you're going to have lower win rate than that, right? Yeah, they just look absolutely dominant, and it's really cool to watch. So I don't know. I don't know if it's like the League of Online where people just don't have the fire to like overcome them. You know, like Secret's always one of the better team, like one of the best teams. I don't know if the League of Online or like the era of online leagues right now is helping them win every game, like more so than usual. But either way, it's nonetheless very impressive.
Well, to that point, there is an asterisk, right? And that's a conversation I was planning to get into, so it's a good segue there, really. As far as Team Secret, you mentioned the 50-game stat, 46-4, whatever it was, obviously stupid impressive. But Knoxville, I was actually pointing out as well, over 100 games, they're 83-17 with that grand final victory of 3-0. So they're 83-17, and that actually ties them with Alliance as well as Newbie, Alliance from TI 3 days, and then Newbie in 2016, as far as the best record in a 100-game stretch that we've ever seen in competitive Dota 2. So it's obviously we're dealing with a really, really good team here. You could debate whether or not they truly are one of the best, and obviously we'll have that even amongst ourselves in a second. But to that point, there is an asterisk because of what's going on right now. A majority of it has been online play. In fact, I would need to go a little more in depth. I don't even know if any of it involves LAN play within the last 100. It probably does, actually. That is a lot of games, but still, to the point, a majority of it does involve the online play, which means not only online play in itself, and that's a different atmosphere, but you're dealing with your own region, right? Yes, they have been competing against CIS on top of that, and you certainly could make a great argument that EU is the toughest region in a lot of ways, but that is still a fact. So I guess to the ultimate point of, is Team Secret truly on an impressive run right now to where we need to really be looking at this could be one of the best teams we've ever seen in Dota 2 history?
I think Secret's always been a threat to be one of the best teams out in Dota 2 history, and I think the only thing that's stopping them is their TI. I even saw there was like a Twitter post by their Twitter guy from Secret saying, Dr. Slacks, we have a case of like we always start coughing around August of each year. We call it the TI choke or whatever. And I thought that was really funny. I'm just like, because they're kind of making fun of themselves. But in reality, this team, if you look at their results during the normal season every year, it's just like, it's always impressive, right? So I think majorly it's only going to be dictated upon them being one of the best teams in history whenever TI 10 rolls around, what their performance looks like there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think even in recent history, especially including some LAN performance. We've certainly seen some very dominant teams. Virtus Pro comes to mind. A couple of years ago, that year stretch, they were just the most dominant team, hands down. OG has certainly had success. A lot of people overlook the fact that OG, before they won TI, they were winning every major that existed when it came to Dota 2. So certainly teams in a contention there when we're talking about the debate of some of the better teams ever. But, real quickly to your tweet comment, I thought you were going to bring up the EG tweet. I don't know if you saw that one where the EG got a response from, I believe it was Phil from EG, talking about not winning TI.
What part of your emblem represents never winning TI?
Yeah. It's a little bit of a low blow there, but you know what? Team Secret did take the first jab as far as going over their logo there, which, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But
I don't mind though. It's like at the end of the day, it's like a bunch of billionaires making fun of each other for only having like $1 billion instead of $2 billion. It's like they're just the best. They're the best teams in the world making fun of each other for like not winning the best event or whatever. It's like none of them are actually victims or losers of the situation.
It's fun banter.
It's fun banter.
Yeah, it's fun banter, certainly. So, it's nothing to look too much into right there. And as you mentioned, Secret certainly is very aware of their own situation of not winning TI. So, yeah, it goes back to the team to make the strong argument that this is one of the best teams ever. Obviously, winning a TI almost feels like a necessity to be able to make that argument. Now, again, we are in this awkward state right now of who the hell knows when this upcoming TI is going to be. And so then it begs the question of, well, how long are they going to last together? What's the longevity of a team like this and the roster sticking together, as we see time and time again, even in the teams that you least expect it, rosters sometimes explode and things change. You would like to think with Team Secret's current situation, Nisha, a very young player that's certainly proven himself as a core player, and everything's going to stick, but you never really know, right? So it's really a matter, for me, it's kind of if they can be disciplined enough to stick together until the eventual TI does take place. I certainly think we can be seeing one of the best teams easily we've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, that's
totally agree with you.
That's a wait and see kind of topic there, I suppose, but certainly fun to discuss. So yeah, that's kind of what we really took away from the OGA Dota Pit event that finished up again. As mentioned, they defeat Liquid, but the other storyline there, of course, my boys Liquid getting to the finals and managing to match up against them at least, albeit a 3-0 series, but they looked good getting to the grand final. So Liquid's finally finding a bit of a groove, I gotta say, and that's I feel good as a Liquid fan right now.
Yeah, for you, I know that means a lot. So it's good to. They're a team I'm always rooting for. Obviously, good buds with Blitz, the captain. I've also spent a decent amount of time with Insania and a few of the other guys at events, just random dinners, random hangouts of what am I blanking on? Mafia. Like we've played some Mafia together and stuff, and they're all just good guys. Honestly, they've been at the last 2 summits too, so those are pretty. I would say intimate environments for a Dota event or an esports event in general. It's just 5 or 6 teams that are all hanging out in a little studio. So I love those guys and I'm rooting for them all the time. So I'm happy to see them, even if they're still losing a secret. I don't necessarily consider that a failure.
Absolutely. No, yeah, you can't. Losing a secret is certainly nothing to be very ashamed about, but definitely something that they'll, I'm sure, want to get over that hump, as every other team right now is looking to do so against Team Secret, but no doubt the dominant team that we're dealing with. So OG, by the way, and kind of another side note, they did announce
Thompson.
Thompson's back, their full roster. So here we go, baby, right? It's not 100% necessarily because I believe somebody else still playing for the States, but you do have the full roster. Good to go. So mid one's going to be going back to the off lane, and then Thompson back to his home in the mid lane there. So that'll be something. And that actually, did they play today? I actually didn't even see that because that was going to lead into the ESL 1 event kicking off today. And I'm checking it right now. They did play a match today. Okay. They did play against Fly to Moon, actually, and they lost that series. So Fly to Moon defeating them 2-1 in OG's debut series that took place, again, with their full official roster. So that is the ESL 1 Birmingham event that I'm getting at right here. They, just like all these other events, are kind of just doing it region-based. You have Europe and CIS together. You have NA and SA together, playing in their own group stages, and then moving on to a playoff format. So, again, kind of this preview of what the next season was supposed to be, but that right off the bat is one of the storylines, right? So the roster back together or officially there and losing their first series against Fly to Moon. That's something.
Yeah, we'll give them a little bit of time. We'll see. I always believe that the best teams will eventually triumph. So maybe they'll drop a series or two, getting the wind underneath their wings again, or whatever the phrase is, air beneath their wings, and I think they'll be fine. I don't look into this very much. If they continue to do poorly, that's a whole nother story. But
sure,
we'll worry about that if that happens.
Yeah, they will play tomorrow, and so on. This event itself, it's every single day. It goes on throughout the week, and then into the double elimination playoff, as I mentioned. There's 2 groups of 8 teams in each group. Looks like the top 4 from each group advance on. So be sure to check out all that. And then, of course, you have the NA region, North America, South America region, which it's something looking at. You're dealing with 16 teams in the European CIS, and you got 6 teams in the NASA region, but competition still there. EG, with their new logo and all, is one of the competitors, of course, playing with a couple of stand-ins themselves, but you would still think EG is possibly the favorite in that one, despite playing with both Ryo and Bulba as the current ringers there.
For sure. That's kind of a status quo I leave until proven otherwise. To be honest with you.
No point to look too much further into that. But that's actually their matches. Should be, as we're doing this podcast, I believe, EG and Beast Coast apparently happening right now. So good old Battle Pass patch day, and matches continue on. So, the ESL event, definitely look to check it out throughout this next week, and obviously it gives us good content to go over for next week's show as well and start recapping how that's been all going. But hopefully you guys are enjoying that. And you know what? That actually... Let's do this first. I do want to get into the Battle Pass, of course, but let's get all this other stuff out of the way
teasing
first.
Him, man.
We're almost there, I promise. Let's go ahead and talk about Midnite.com. Obviously, an awesome sponsor of the show here. Do esports betting that you can participate in if you live in the UK. And you know what? Rather than me rambling on, check out this commercial. And we'll have more information for you, and we'll go over some odds ourselves. So check it out. So again, we want to take this opportunity to thank our betting partner, Midnite, for supporting this podcast. If you're watching or listening from the UK, please use code Wombo to sign up because it helps us keep the lights on. Midnite are an esports dedicated betting company, so they run regular promotions and leaderboards with weekly prizes. So get involved and remember to use code Wombo when you register. So speaking of that, talking about some odds here, and of course the ESL event kicking off really even yesterday. It looks like a couple of matches. Figured we choose some more highlight matches and talk about the odds and give opinion on them. So first one being actually it's going to take place tomorrow morning. Kind of an interesting one considering the results that we just heard about. Ninjas in Pajamas versus Fly to Moon. Can Fly to Moon just coming off that victory over OG, as we just talked about here. That's 1.49 for NIP, 2.44 for Fly to Moon. So it is NIP favored. But Fly to Moon, definitely not complete underdogs there.
It looks like OG, or it looks like Fly to Moon's capable of taking games off of serious teams, so I might take the underdog in that one.
Yeah, I was going to go a similar line of thinking to yourself, right? You figure you got a bit of momentum, and beating a team like OG is certainly nothing to scoff at with their official roster and everything. So why not take the momentum right there and take the over there? So Fly to Moon, I would agree. We'll see how that result plays out. So, again, do as you will. We're not telling you 100% what to do, but we are giving our own opinions here. Let's see, another one we're looking at. I found a good matchup here. Ooh. Evil Geniuses versus Quincy Crew. This one's going to be tomorrow night, so we're going to the NA region. 1.74 for EG, and Quincy Crew's at 1.98. So this is actually a really close one. Again, it's worth reiterating, EG is playing with a couple of stand-ins.
I'll still take EG until Quincy Crew's just been coming up a bit lackluster for me. And I believe in the squad. Like, I think the team as a whole is very good players. I just don't exactly know what they're missing. I guess I might have to watch their games more closely or what have you. It just seems like something is missing, you know? So it's just hard for me to bet on teams like that because they're just inconsistent. Like sometimes, some days they bring their A game, some days they bring their F game. You know, it's just hard to really know what you're going to get. So I think EG, albeit obviously not their star-studded roster with the two stand-ins, but I think they're still consistently outputting the same level of play every game.
Yeah.
And I'm more so worried. I'm more so thinking this series will be decided whether or not Quincy Crew plays above what they've been playing. And I don't believe that'll happen. So I could be wrong though. I do believe in both teams.
Yeah, again, very, very close one right there. It seems like we talked about though, and I stand by as well. EG is still the strong team, and so that's pretty good odds too, right? 1.74 for even a team like EG getting the victory. That's actually really solid. So I would tend to lean towards that myself as well when it comes to the betting right there. And then let's do kind of a little bit of a different one here. So this is going to be Nigma versus Aggressive Mode. Now, just to clarify, Aggressive Mode and their roster. We are looking at... Who are we looking at? Skylark, right? Yeah, it's Focus, Thug, Skylark, Spartan, and Coop. So, former Ad Phenom to an extent, as like talk about the Greek boys there. They're going to be going up against Nigma, who, as we all know, former Liquid, etc. They've been a little bit rocky lately, I feel like. And now these odds, they are favoring Nigma pretty heavily, though. So 1.16 to 4.50 for aggressive mode. So, going with a little bit more of a stretch here, I wanted to bring up, can you see the underdog here? Would you take the underdog?
Hey, man, this would be a fun game to be like, I'll put $1 on the underdog and be like, if I lose, okay, it's $1. But if I win, that $4.50. You know what I'm saying? That's where I would go with this one. But obviously, I do believe Nigma will likely take the series. That's obviously what the odds say as well. But I don't think it's unheard of for the underdog to win here. And I don't like betting on teams like Nigma with the way they've been playing when they're heavily favored. Like, I once again, kind of similar to Quincy Crew, very good team, even better than Quincy Crew in a lot of ways, and just not playing to their full potential at this current moment. So it's kind of hard to like reliably bet on them, especially when the odds don't pay out all that much.
Yeah,
to me,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I would lean towards aggressive mode as far as the odds are concerned. That 4.50 definitely looks appealing and goes back to the rockiness that Nigma has been having as of late. So both teams are 1-0 early on in the group stages, so take that how you will as well. But there you go. So those were a couple of odds going over from Midnite.com. So once again, check it out, especially if you live in the UK, and feel free to do so. All right, so that takes care, I believe, of going over really all this event coverage that's been taking place. Obviously, there's plenty of other events going on. You go to liquidpedia.net. You can check it out for yourselves, but those are the bigger ones there that are taking place. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's get down to the Battle Pass being released. So I will say I tuned in to Persia's stream, actually, naturally. When a big patch comes in.
It is. Yeah,
you weren't on yet, BS. I was waiting for you to be on. No. And so got to see through his eyes as far as a lot of the Battle Pass content right there. But yeah, early on it starts with the guilds. I saw this off the bat, and I'm sitting here like, that's right. They still haven't had a clan base, or I guess as they're calling it here, a guild based system in the game this whole time. I mean, you go back to the Warcraft 3 days, that they had clans, right? So that was a possibility, kind of create your own community or whatever. This is one of those where it's like, damn, how have they not done this yet? But it's obviously good to see that they finally did it. So, the guilds right off the bat is actually a really fun one to me, at least.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing like how involved it feels like as a community, or is it kind of just all working towards the same thing but not really working together? We'll see what kind of community aspect that promotes. I think that'll help a lot of friends that previously had buds that played with them and didn't maybe play anymore, and now they have a reason to maybe come back. So I think that'll help a lot of the casual players, which is obviously good for the game. And I think overall, obviously it's not ideal they have to pay money to get it, but I think Dota's main lack is that, like, I even saw a post about this last week, is just the lack of reward for just playing, just something that keeps you coming back. And I think on average, other games that I've played, I'm willing to fork over, $10 if I have played the game enough and I think it's a fun game that I'll spend enough time on to warrant getting more out of the game itself. And I think that's what Battle Pass has always offered. I obviously wish it would be consistently throughout the year somewhat, but then at the same time, because it's not consistent, when we get it, it's like super exciting and super momentous. It's a very momentous occasion. So for me, I love everything the Battle Pass represents for Dota. It, like I said earlier on the podcast, this is my Christmas, and I'm sure for a lot of players, they were just waiting to come back until the Battle Pass because they think the exact same thing. And overall, the fact that Valve has cultivated a community that is happy to spend money on the game when there's really no incentive. There's really like no incentive, right? Like, other than just getting more out of the game. I think that's just crazy. Yeah, like you said, it's just crazy. So
I think cool. It really shows that how strong this community is. And I know a lot of gaming communities say this about their own gaming communities, like it's tight knit, and a lot of people like to claim they're the most toxic or whatever, etc. Dota is a lot of those, but it's also it's because it's so passionate as far as towards the game, and obviously the game has existed. We are talking past Dota 2 back to the Dota 1 days. It's been around for 15 or so years. And that actually hit me the other day, how I was thinking about that too. And I know a lot of people are in my shoes too, that I started playing Dota back in high school, and I show my age, but it kind of hit me. I was like, holy crap, that was like 15 years ago, like basically half of my life, just a little than half of my life. It's Dota 2 has been a big part of my, or Dota, I guess, has been a big part of my life. And again, I go back to there's definitely a lot of player base out there that can say the same. And so there's not a lot of games that, can really have that sense of community that has stuck around for so long. And obviously, again, Dota is unique because it went from one company to another technically and blah, blah, blah. But still, it's I guess why I'm bringing that up is because the point you made about how people are just so willing to give money. Shut up and let me give you money memes all over the place. Before the battle pass is out and after it comes out, even just people just want to spend money on your game. That must be an amazing feeling for Valve, but obviously they deserve it with the content that they produce year in and year out with the battle pass and the standards that they've set. So.
I just think they've taken it up a notch this year too. It seems like a lot of the community criticisms are things that people want, like even the fan service of the Wraith King Arcana to be the Skeleton King. Like, I was like, you know what? That's kind of a shortcut, but I'm okay with it. Like, I'm gonna let this one pass. Like, everyone that played Dota 2 early on or Dota 1, they had that like Bible thump moment when Skeleton King turned into Wraith King, right? And everyone missed it a bit and would be happy to have it back, and it has so much nostalgia value to it and everything. And I personally love stuff like that, and even like maybe you haven't seen it yet, but it's been pointed out on Reddit. My viewers told me to look at it. If you look at the Wraith King's bone harvesting Arcana thing, the Terror Blade's on a cliff, and it's like, it's a shout out to our Teasy, Cliff Teasy, all that shit. Like, on this whole map, there's only one hero on a cliff, and it's a Terror Blade. And I just think shit like that is what makes Dota the community and the game it is. Like, even the developers are in on the memes, it's unmatched. Like, I don't think it's matchable for anybody that's in this scene. Like you said, you've been in this for 15 years, it's like the history and the jokes and the players, the people, there's just no replacement for almost anybody that's involved. And that, to me, like, Battle Pass is a big part of the culture too. So it really does feel like the holidays, like a tradition sort of thing to me. And Dota 2 being like the quote unquote family of the community,
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea that, again, I go back to with this one, especially with the unknown of what's at the end of it, but we're enjoying the content anyways. I think it's just even more evidence, and obviously time will tell as far as how the numbers look, I suppose. But I have a feeling numbers are still going to be pretty damn good for the Battle Pass, despite the unknown of when ATI is going to be. Because I was having this conversation with, including my wife, actually, amongst other people, the idea that, are people going to be willing to put money into the Battle Pass, not knowing when TI-10 is going to be, is it going to be end of the year, next year, etc., or are they going to wait for more finalized information before they feel like supporting? And so I guess it goes to that mentality of, well, are people buying the Battle Pass for the content and the community sense, or are they buying it for strictly that prize pool involvement? But I stand by, and it sounds like, as we're talking about here with the community and everything, that I feel like it's still certainly going to do very well, if not on par, than what we've seen in the past when it comes to the numbers here. So
I just want to say that I have like the Quincy Crew and Business Associates game on in the background. And so I saw on the Beastmaster, there was this random debuff, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I mouse over it, and it says, the pepper exploded when you were holding it, and it went splat all over your face or something. And it's just this debuff that lasted like 45 seconds. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, there's actually a debuff for it too. I don't know, man. All the little things is what I love, the community loves, and even though TI is not involved as much this year, like obviously it's going towards TI, but the Battle Pass, in my opinion, is much less about TI in general. Like people buy it and know it's going towards TI, and that feels good and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But people just love the Battle Pass for what it is, like the actual Battle Pass itself, and I just love the little interactions, the tips, the high fives, the question marks on the denies. You know, they even have some good pings this year. I like that's my highlight too, as like one of the derpy in-game interactions that's going on. So I look forward to seeing the meta develop with that, because we even see it play out like at the actual like tournaments and stuff, right? Where people like it started becoming a thing where OG would like voice line the shit out of people, and people had to mute each other, and I don't know, like know that these little things are. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say on that note, real quickly, you saw the part about how if people copy the same line as a previous person, it's gonna get higher and higher, longer, whatever. So it's almost like they're embracing that, and they're like, "Yes, do it more, please."
Yeah, exactly. God. Yeah, it just leads to a lot of random shenanigans, and I personally, I'm like a very serious guy a lot of the time, but I think one of my biggest things I appreciate in general is when you have like a very serious moment and it's somehow paired with some comedic relief and just some random stupid stuff. And I think Dota is like the perfect game to have that kind of stuff in it. So
yeah,
I love it.
It is a great blend, isn't it, of serious but also a lot of fun. And now we have a cat courier, a cute little cat courier that evolves named Bright Sky in the game as well. So
where does it end?
It's who knows what they'll do next. Yeah, no, it's again, just even scrolling through another time, it is jam packed, and I think Wickram was even stating this is like the biggest content patch that they've ever introduced into the game. And I was trying to think, like, that's actually really interesting because obviously we've had some really big balance patches, like 7.0 right off the bat comes to mind especially, but when it comes to like just content from cosmetics and features, etc., I guess this actually is the biggest one that we have seen to date in Dota 2. So just yet another thing to show that the employees working from home and everything, but that clearly didn't stop them from putting out an amazing product.
Yeah, the Arcana looks sick too. The Co-op Arcana, I can't wait for it. The Wind Ranger Arcana looks really cool too. So I know Slacks is super excited about that one. And aside from that, like I said, I can't wait till it's not. I'm not saying I want this to end or whatever, but like I just can't wait to go back and open more hats.
I know, right?
That's all I can think about because, like, for me, everyone's waiting. We've all been anxious. Like we already said, like it's crazy the culture that Valve has cultivated with the fact that people are like, "Here, take my money," but it's also just how much people talk about it, how much they're looking forward to it. You know, how big of a deal it is, the announcement being made. And obviously there's a little bit of like, stop doing this to us, Valve, stop teasing us, all that kind of stuff. But then at the same time, that's part of how awesome, that's part of why it's so awesome too. So I just love it all, man. This is my job. This is my livelihood. Like you can relate entirely. And these are the moments that we get very brief, like very rarely, you know, like you said, the fresh content, the, just new things, I guess. Like obviously new patches are really nice, but those happen 4 or 5 times a year. Battle Pass once a year. So this is one of my favorite days of the year for sure.
It reminds me a lot of I come from World of Warcraft, especially. You know, every time an expansion comes out, that feeling of a new expansion's here, and it's so you know, new content, new excitement there, and everything, and then. I mean, that's a different story as far as how long that may last, but it's a similar reminder there as far as the feeling you get
for sure
when it comes to the game. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose there's really not much else to talk about that because, like
I'm going to be talking about all next week. I'm going to be talking about all the things I got to do with my Battle Pass in stupid ways. You know, like there's going to be some meta that develops, and just like the Dota Heroes meta and all that strategy shit, it's going to be ever flowing and developing. So I look forward to following it over the next few months.
God, the community match predictions, that sounds fun. That sounds fun as hell, but like that's gonna be quirky. Yeah, that I'm really curious to see what they come up with some of these matches.
I was memeing because I was like, you're gonna see a Herald 1 game, PA sniper off lane against Dazzle Lich safe lane. Who took this one? I was like, carry Dazzle versus the off lane PA, and I'm just, it's gonna be funny. Like, yeah, imagine trying to predict that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be silly. The battle gauntlet. Speaking of a competitive aspect, that sounds like it has potential to be pretty cool too. Kind of like this arena format from trading card games, as you brought up earlier. So you win 3 games, you get bonus points. If you lose 2, though, then you're done with it. You
got to win 3 out of 4 is what the deal is. Yeah, right. Because you have to win 3 before you lose 2.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. So another cool thing. So. All right, but yeah, again, I suppose that pretty much does it, though. It's obviously there's so much in it, but like you said, after played it for another week, maybe come revisit it, talk about some things that stood out from it in next week's podcast, as well as tournaments and everything that are certainly still happening.
All the necessary things we have to talk about,
all those other things that are happening in the background, I suppose.
The background stuff.
All that background stuff. Yeah. Do we usually expect a patch around Battle Pass as well?
I don't think so. I think they're like I think it's less likely just because maybe like a small balance change patch, but nothing major.
Yeah. So
just because they've been so preoccupied, obviously, with all the stuff going on with the Battle Pass, and throughout the Battle Pass, they'll be constantly releasing stuff like the Wind Ranger Arcana, the Co-op Arcana, the game mode they introduced, like the potential, like the maze type dungeon crawler type of thing they're going to have. It's kind of like Siltbreaker, so all that time they've got something that they're doing. So as long as they've got something they're doing, then it's going to be tougher to dish out more balance patches. I think the patch looks pretty good to me right now. There's a few heroes that could probably use some nerfs, but I like the gameplay overall of the patch right now.
Well, one last question I got to ask before we start really wrapping this up here, BSJ, is I want you to be honest. What are you more excited for, the Battle Pass or Artifact 2.0?
Battle Pass.
Darn, I almost got you there, yeah.
I'm skeptical about Artifact 2.0. I'm going to try it, 100%.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm 100% sure I will love the Battle Pass, and I'm not 100% sure I will love Artifact 2. So that's pretty much where that final decision came from.
Yeah. Good way to put it. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that, because I guess, they're already sending out beta invites as of today as well, kind of going along with the Battle Pass there. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's a good place to wrap up, though. So, as always, though, BSJ, anything else before we do?
Get to open my hats now. I'm excited.
Go open your hats. I'll be joining you as well. I'll probably have less levels for now, but we'll see how that develops over time. But you guys out there, enjoy your Battle Pass. I know you will. But be sure to be back here next week on the Wombo Combo Podcast, as myself, breakycpk, joined as always by BSJ. We'll be here 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday is what we aim for the live recording. And check us out on all your podcast platforms as well. So thanks for all the support. Subscribe, follows, whatever it may be in the Twitch channel especially. Really do appreciate it. Until next week, guys, have a good night.